emergency 911.
My name's Richard Johnson. I was just moving some stuff off my patio that a former friend had stored, and one of the boxes is smelly. It appears to be a female human body. I can see a bracelet. I can see long reddish or brown hair.
Dispatch sends the Aurora police to investigate.
The officers exit the car and approach the house. The only way it can be described is the odor of decaying flesh.
As the police investigate the scene, they find that a large plastic container wrapped in duct tape is emitting the foul odor.
It was a fairly heavy-duty rubber plastic box. The odd part of it was the amount of duct tape that was around it. So whoever taped it wanted to make sure it wasn't open. The officer who actually looked inside saw skeletal remains.
It was grotesque. The body was found scrunched up in a fetal position with her knees almost touching her chin.
Detectives interview Richard Johnson, the man who found the foul-smelling storage bin. Johnson claims that the storage bin belongs to an acquaintance named J.D. Harrington.
Richard said, I just stored it for him. He never touched J.D.'s stuff. It just sat there. And then 3 years later, when he's moving it, that's when the body was discovered.
Johnson also tells police that he thinks he recognizes the body in the box as a friend from the neighborhood.
Richard saw the hair first, reddish-brown hair, and he immediately thought it was Carolyn Jansen.
Carolyn Jansen was a roommate of J.D. Harrington. They both worked at the Waffle House in Aurora. They were both hurting for money, so they decided to rent an apartment together.
He told the police about how J.D. Harrington was saying, Carolyn took off with my rent money. Carolyn disappeared.
A DNA test confirms that the body is indeed Carolyn Jansen.
Carolyn suffered a fracture to the skull above the left eye. The cause of death was blunt force trauma, homicide.
While detectives are still unsure of homeowner Richard Johnson's involvement, they turn to the next logical suspect, J.D. Harrington, the supposed owner of the storage container.
J.D., do you have any idea who's in that box?
No.
Who would?
I don't know. Like I said, my stuff has been there for years.
Forensic analysis reveals that fingerprints from both J.D. Harrington and Richard Johnson are on the bin.
J.D. denied having anything to do with Carolyn's death. He claimed that he stacked his boxes outside his home the day before moving day. The implication was that during that time, somebody, whoever was the killer, would have put the body in the plastic container. J.D. told police that in early February 2002, he last saw Carolyn in his apartment, and she just took off. He never saw her again.
The only problem with that is she left behind things that would be important to most people. Her purse, her Social Security card.
When they interview J.D.'s former girlfriend, she makes a shocking revelation.
She explained that after Carolyn Jansen went missing, he came to her house, broke down in tears.
I didn't expect it. But first thing he did was got down on his knees and started crying. that he had just killed somebody.
Police interview J.D. Harrington yet again.
He admits that these are his plastic containers and that he had duct taped a few of them, but claimed not to know what was inside. And you ask, does it look like this tape had ever been removed and then reapplied? The answer is no. And that sets off some alarm bells. It just didn't make sense.
The investigation narrows its focus on J.D. Harrington.
We had no physical evidence at the time to connect J.D. Harrington to the crime scene other than the body being at the address and everybody saying, this is how this bin got here.
There's a big distinction between direct and circumstantial evidence.
I felt there was sufficient evidence to pursue prosecution. The former DA said it wasn't there.
I wasn't part of that prosecutor's office in 2006, but they just felt they didn't have enough to prove this case beyond a reasonable doubt.
The case of the murdered mother thins like the air atop the majestic Rockies, and the case goes ice cold. Carolyn's case stays that way for another 2 years, until Detective Connor is assigned to work on cold cases full-time. Detective Connor keeps Carolyn's case file on his desk for 5 long years, until a call from newly appointed Deputy District Attorney John Kellner changes everything.
When John Kellner became the cold case DA, he actually called me at my office and wanted me to submit 5 of the best cold cases I had for prosecution.
Our goal with every single case was to take a look and try to solve it and bring it to closure. The Carolyn Jansen case, it was complicated. There were folks that said it cannot be proven beyond a reasonable doubt, so we had some work to do to bring this case forward.
I need physical evidence to connect J.D. Harrington to that body.
That duct tape. What I was concerned about is how old it was. It had been exposed to extreme heat, extreme cold in our Colorado weather, and that can degrade DNA. In the early 2000s, there was not touch DNA that was going to be, found on that duct tape or on the container. But now we're really dealing with a completely different technological time with new forensic science. But it is a big risk because, look, it could come back with nothing.
After months of painstaking work, the forensics team successfully extract DNA from the sticky adhesive portion of the duct tape and send it off for testing. 2 months later, the results come back.
J.D. Harrington could not be excluded. And this is important because when you add all of those pieces up together, you're talking about placing one circumstantial brick in the wall, one at a time. It just helped us feel confident to bring this case forward on J.D. Harrington and make him face these charges in court. J.D. Harrington was finally charged with the murder of Carolyn Jansen.
You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law.
J.D. Harrington was known as a guy who would get potentially violent if somebody messed with his money. The story that comes out of this is that maybe Carolyn had taken their rent money and used it for something. We don't know for what. But I suspect that could be the trigger that set him off, that caused him to kill her. The jury convicted J.D. Harrington as charged of second-degree murder for the killing of Carolyn Jansen. He was ultimately sentenced to 25 years in prison.
To me, it was just a feeling of satisfaction. It's like, gotcha, finally.